It's starting to look like Jared Kushner might be the guy who authorized Khashoggi's death, or at least his arrest, and that possibly Erdogan tape recorded that, and that's what he's using to blackmail Donald Trump into pulling our troops out of Syria. It's mind-boggling. Check it out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and be sure to subscribe to our channel. There's some just absolutely mind-boggling reporting from the Daily Mail is kind of a staple of British media, and the Daily Mail a while ago bought a magazine called The Spectator, which is a 190-year-old conservative British weekly magazine that principally focuses on politics and on current events. So this report came from The Spectator, and I haven't seen it really migrate anywhere else, but hang on, because this may well turn into a huge, big thing. And the article actually uses a somewhat different frame than I think probably they should have. But the article is called 7 Whistleblowers. It's over at spectator.us. And they say, a source tell us that House Democrats trying to impeach Donald Trump have no less than 7 intelligence whistleblowers. So you've got the original whistleblower that Trump is trying to punish by outing him so that, Christine Blasey Ford, her life is still not back to normal. She's still getting death threats. He wants to punish the whistleblower. How dare you out my administration, kind of thing. And Devin Nunes and all these Republicans are trying to do the same thing. The whistleblower said, yeah, I'll sign some. But anyhow, so you've got that whistleblower. Then you've got Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, who testified. He's a whistleblower, only he's, with a public face. There's Tim Morrison, the National Security Council's Director for European and Russian Affairs. He testified before Congress. That's 3 whistleblowers. But the other 4 are real interesting. We don't know who they all are. But according to this report, one of them is saying that there was a call, and this is another one of these Trump calls that goes into the safe, right? And I guess the question around all this, for the hour, as it were, is what is the state of our democracy, and how do we recover this? If Jared Kushner in the White House told Mohammad bin Salman, yeah, fine, go after Khashoggi. I mean, that's what's being alleged here, essentially. That Kushner gave the green light to MBS, to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, to arrest Jamal Khashoggi. He didn't necessarily green light Khashoggi's murder. I mean, I doubt he knew that that's how it was going to end up. But arresting him and shipping him back to Saudi Arabia is kind of functionally the same thing. And Turkish intelligence obtained an intercept of the call between Kushner and MBS, according to this report. And so if this is true, and Kushner said to MBS, yeah, go ahead and take out Khashoggi, or at least go ahead and arrest Khashoggi, according to this report, that is what Erdogan said to Trump when he called Trump, and Trump said, okay, fine, we'll pull our troops out of Syria, which he did within a day or two. Remember, it was like a Friday night phone call, and Trump said, okay, fine, and on Saturday or Sunday, he announced we were pulling out, and on Monday, we were pulling out, and everybody's like, what the hell is going on? Well, it sounds like, I mean, if this whistleblower is accurate, and if this source for the Daily Mail in the United Kingdom and the Spectator magazine, these 2, well-respected news publications, are asserting that the president of Turkey, President Erdogan, essentially was blackmailing Donald Trump. And if that's the case, that's mind-boggling. So, the state of our democracy is, I think, precarious, shall we say. The second source says this is true and adds this crucial twist to the story. This source claims that Turkish intelligence obtained an intercept of the call between Kushner and MBS, and President Erdogan used that intercept. Remember, Erdogan had bugged the Saudi embassy That's how we now have our members of Congress have actually listened to the tape of Khashoggi being murdered. Right? I mean, that tape is out there of him saying, stop choking me, I have asthma, I can't breathe, and then he's dead, and then, we hear him struggling, and then we hear him being sawed, his body being chopped into pieces. Erdogan was the one who made that tape public. So if Erdogan also has a tape recording of Kushner talking to Mohammed bin Salman, perhaps via the Saudi embassy in Turkey, I mean, that's my guess, is that that's how the call got routed. It got routed through the Turkish embassy, because that's where Khashoggi was going to go. And MBS was on the call, like a conference call of some kind. If Erdogan has that tape and he's using it to essentially blackmail Donald Trump, Erdogan, the president of Turkey, gets a copy of this phone call, gets the recording of the phone call, just like he has the recording of Khashoggi being murdered, right? He's clearly got the Saudi embassy in Turkey bugged, because this all took place in Turkey. This all happened in Turkey. That's where Khashoggi was murdered. So Erdogan has the recording that could land Jared Kushner in prison for the rest of his life and reflect very, very poorly on the Trump administration. He calls up Donald Trump and he says, listen, I got this recording, and if you don't do what I say, I'm going to release it. And what I say you have to do is you have to pull U.S. forces out of northern Syria right now and let Turkish forces come in to this Kurdish region and empty out the cities of the Kurds who've lived there for hundreds or thousands of years, and we're going to relocate good Turks into those houses and into those cities, and we're going to take over their businesses, and we're going to take over everything. And just consider the consequences of this. This is a piece from the Washington Post. This is by Louisa Lovelock, Dateline, Syria, and from Derek, Syria. And she writes, as the final hours of a ceasefire, this is from the middle of last week, as the final hours of a ceasefire in northeastern Syria wound down on Tuesday, dread descended on a region once shielded by the United States. In towns and cities, and just imagine if this was you, right? Just imagine if your home, if your town had just been given to another country that was coming in with guns, and they would kill you if you didn't leave your home. Think, just consider what life must be like for these people. In towns and cities, families debated and sometimes fought over whether and where to run. Selling their houses to pay for the help of unpredictable smugglers was one option. Moving closer to the Iraqi border, where thousands of refugees had already crossed, and then praying the violence wouldn't follow, was another. A young student, Marwa, in the Syrian border town of Derik, said to me, how do you decide what to do? Do we wait? Do we leave? There are no good options, none. This is another quote. This is Jawan, 34. She was standing in Derek's clothing bazaar holding his 9-month-old daughter. I guess, Jawan. He said, the men feel strong, the women and children are scared, and nobody knows what's coming. This is bigger than us, really. America was meant to protect us, but that's done now, so I guess we'll just wait. And then one man in a clinic on Monday, again talking to this reporter, said, so are they leaving us for oil? We heard for years that all America cared about was oil, but we didn't believe it. We thought the Americans were our friends. This has occurred. Now what do we have left? I mean, people literally are dying as a consequence of this decision by Donald Trump. And it looks like it might have been done, according to these two newspapers, these two British newspapers, and I would love some corroboration on this, but it looks like it was done because Erdogan was blackmailing Donald Trump.